This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Yes indeed, we're back on the Pacifica again today. In case you missed the video the other day, I was unboxing this. This is a Yamaha Pacifica 311H. Follows the familiar Pacifica recipe. 25.5-inch scale length, the familiar Pacifica neck profile, body shape and everything. You got an Alnico humbucker at the bridge, an Alnico P90 at the neck, Graphtec nut, Grover locking tuners, fixed bridge, and a tortoiseshell pickguard. And you just heard this guitar in action there at the top of the video. The tab for that, by the way, in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats is available on my Patreon page, along with a clip of me playing the solo and the jam track to play along to have a go yourself. As it's all up on my Patreon page, there's the address. Link is in the description. It's only £2.50 or $3 a month, and you get all of these extra bits and pieces that go along with these YouTube videos. Thank you so much to everybody who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are down in the description. So anyway, let's talk about this guitar. Just a few follow-up thoughts and conclusions, basically. I really like this guitar. Let's get that out of the way before we start. As I said in the unboxing video, when I first saw the specs for this model and started seeing pictures of it, especially in this finish with this pickguard, I thought, is there someone in the Yamaha factory with a picture of me on his desk and said, let's build that fat lad a guitar? Because, it's just, it was at the time, when I was still very much a Strat player and I only used the bridge pickup on the Strat and the neck pickup, but I always put a humbucker in the bridge and on a Strat, and I always liked a big fat neck single coil sound, and I liked tortoiseshell pickguards. Didn't use the trem. It was like, somebody built my dream guitar. Since then, obviously, I've got my dream guitar, which has changed a little bit over the years, which is, Blondie here. But yeah, it's been a long old time getting my hands on one of these. You may recall that I did a bit of a series of mods to a Pacifica 112 to end up with something a bit like this a few years ago. And then more recently, there was that blue Pacifica 112 donated by a chap called Steve. And he put the P90 and the humbucker in that, and giving it a little bit of a tweak, and I think of Wilkinson bridge and stuff he put on it. That guitar recently went to Zoe's Place Baby Hospice, along with a few others that have been donated. So as soon as I get notification from Zoe's Place about when those guitars are going to be getting sold and what have you, I will I'll post some links. Anyway, let's talk about this guitar. As I say, I really like this guitar. it's different from the Pacifica 112 that I modded, and that more recent Pacifica 112, because this guitar comes from a little higher up Yamaha's range. You can tell it's just had a little bit more attention lavished on it in the factory. It's not without its faults, and we'll talk about the main one of those in a moment. But everything feels just that little bit better finished. I love these Grover locking tuners. I've never had Grover locking tuners before, but you don't have to do anything. You literally just poke the string through, tune up, and the act of tuning up locks the string. No thumb wheel at the back, no messing around, kind of screwing this part down like you do on some tuners, locking tuners. This, it's just, you just use them like normal tuners, and they lock, which is, absolutely idiot-proof, which is perhaps why I like them. Neck profile and everything, if you've ever picked up a Pacifica, and I'm sure you probably have, as I've said more than once, the Yamaha Pacifica 112 is or has been the best-selling guitar, or in the top-selling guitar category in the UK for the past 30 years. So chances are you've picked one up and felt what they feel like. It's a fairly sort of comfortable C-shaped neck, not too chunky, not too skinny, and a fairly flat fretboard radius. So if you are, a junkie for the heavily cambered vintage style fretboard, maybe this won't be for you. But I can't imagine too many people are going to pick up this guitar and find it uncomfortable. It's, as I say, it's not without its faults. The first one of which is, well, the strings that came fitted to it weren't great. I don't know what brand of strings they were. They didn't have the telltale, coloured ball ends that tell you they are D'Addarios. Not sure what they were, but after a couple of hours playing on them, you'll find that your fingers are absolutely filthy. So I took them off, basically. I took them off and put a set of 10-gauge strings on. Excuse me. Put a set of 10-gauge strings on. I think there were 9s that were on this. So obviously there was some setup work to be done then. And that's when we started running into a couple of issues. This, I don't know if you can see there, but let me hold it this way so you can see from this side. Can you see there's that kind of overhang at the back of the bridge? I'm talking about this part here. Okay? That does not make for easy intonation adjustment. If you have just a regular everyday screwdriver to adjust your intonation like that, it's very difficult to get it in where you're getting a clean angle onto the screw because of this. Your screwdriver is going to foul this back edge here. And also I found when I was adjusting the intonation, knocking me vape over there. I found when I was adjusting the intonation, the screws are like really tight. There was a couple of the strings where the intonation was sharp. So when the intonation is sharp, you move the bridge saddle backwards, which means that you're tightening the screw. So it's good practice when you do that to take some of the tension off the strings by, loosening the tuning pegs a little bit. As you do, even with the strings like really loose, the intonation screws at the back are like really tight and difficult to turn, and it's not impossible that you could end up stripping the head of the screw. So that's something that is, not exactly ideal, frankly. I may end up just putting a different bridge on this, maybe a go-to or something like that. So that's one thing that needed a little bit of that's not exactly ideal. The other thing was, obviously, when I put a heavier gauge set of strings on, the truss rod needed adjusting. Just the truss rod up here, I just think it's a bit of an anachronism nowadays. It is no more hassle, I suspect, for manufacturers to put the truss rod in a little spoke wheel at this end, and then it's much more accessible. I always find when I'm trying to get the Allen key in up here, you just about get the Allen key in to bite, and then you're kind of fouling the strings as you're trying to turn it. As I say, it would be much easier down here. And this little kind of truss rod cover that you've got in there, it's a fiddly little screw that is, at some point, I will guarantee, going to get lost, or, just end up going missing in somewhere. I think, if I'm going to be adjusting the truss rod on this regularly, I'm going to take just take that off and leave it off. The thing is, though, this is rather interesting. The action on this guitar, when it arrived, strung up with a set of 9s, wasn't all that bad. It was, I remember measuring it at about 2 millimeters at the 12th fret, which is by no means a high action. It's not as low as maybe I would like, or maybe some other people would like, but it's not high action. But when I went to tighten the truss rod, having put a set of 10 gauge strings on it, I found that the truss rod wasn't engaged at all. It was just, just not biting. So the neck was, acceptably straight, had an acceptable amount of relief in it, with it strung up with a set of 9s to concert pitch, without the truss rod being engaged. That speaks volumes for the stability of the neck on this guitar. I don't know, and I obviously can't say whether that's going to be the same for all examples of this guitar that come out of the factory, but certainly on this one, that was the case. Now it's strung up with a set of 10s. I've got a low buttery action. Because of the fixed bridge, it's got that sort of taut Telecaster feel to it, which really does make me a happy camper. I guess this kind of guitar is for someone who is a bit like me, really, a habitual Fender player, but wants something of the girth and warmth of a Gibson style tonality. For instance, here, I'm just plugged into the Sonic 8 Twiggy Blues at the moment, just going directly into the little laptop at the side of me there. So it's not the most professional of setups, just while I'm doing these walkthrough, talk-through videos. But, just... That sounds, borderline Gibson-y, doesn't it? I've got the humbucker in humbucker mode there. That's like a clean Les Paul on the middle position, just about. It would kind of, it's a good impersonation of it, let's put it that way. Go to the bridge pickup and knock it into single coil mode, and you still got all of that sort of Fender snap and attack there, Can't think of any other word for it, but Fenderiness. But again, a fatter version of it. The neck P90 is just absolute gorgeous, for the... for all that sort of Frusciante-ish, Hendrix-ish, Stevie Ray Vaughan-ish kind of stuff. A big fat neck single coil with an amp on the verge of breakup. That's just Texas blues heaven, isn't it? Cleans up nicely from the volume control. I've got the volume control. It's not numbered. Obviously, it's one of these sort of slightly Telecaster-esque knurled kind of things here. But plenty of clarity. It doesn't all turn to mud when you turn it down. The volume control is virtually off there, and then just back up a bit. And if I go all the way up, and as I say, you can hear that it just cleans up beautifully. It really is a best of both worlds guitar, this. You know, it has its flaws, that sort of silly bridge overhang, which for me, just to my mind, serves no purpose other than making it difficult to adjust the intonation. What they were thinking of when they decided to kind of do that, I don't know. But it's not the end of the world. But as I say, sort of a best of both worlds guitar, this. If you are in a band where you are having to, you know, cover songs where you need a Les Paul and maybe I wouldn't say a Strat tone, because it won't do that sort of quacky in-between Strat sound at all, really. But it'll certainly do Telecaster type sounds, you know. So if you want a kind of mix of Fender and Gibson sounds in the one guitar, and you're looking to spend about 300 quid, then just check one of these out. You have to have a good reason not to have this one on your list of guitars to check out. It's, you know, the other thing that with this guitar, another fault I should have mentioned earlier, it's not really a fault, but the fingerboard was like really, really dry. So it got a good couple of coats of Dr. Duck's Axe Wax, and that sort of brought it back to life a bit. And the frets were, you know, as I was playing it and kind of getting into it a little bit more after that unboxing video, the frets were a little bit sort of gritty and scratchy feeling. But then again, just use some of the, I mentioned these before, the Crimson guitars fret erasers, and they've brought them up to a lovely shine. So, you know, it's a budget guitar at the end of the day. It's 300 quid. So it's not going to be perfect in every way. I just wish, my main gripe is that overhang on the back of the bridge. Did I mention that? So without that, it would have been, you know, pretty much, you know, a fantastic guitar. Well, it is a fantastic guitar. Just, you know, just like that silly little thing there. As I say, the truss rod, you know, not being engaged, but yet the neck was still acceptably straight. That's, you know, that's an impressive feat to have a neck that is that stable. So, you know, I don't think you need to worry long term about, you know, how this neck is going to behave, you know, under different environmental conditions. So there you go, folks. Those are my follow-up thoughts and conclusions on the Yamaha Pacifica 311H. When I bought this guitar, I was undecided about whether I was going to keep it or not. I think you can probably tell which way the coin has landed on that one now, unless I you know, have an unexpected large bill come in for something or other, then this guitar is going nowhere. It's a nice addition to the family, and it's nice to get my hands on one after 10 years or so since I first saw this model come out. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video, found it useful and somewhat entertaining. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Why not give me a like while you're at it? And I'll just take this opportunity now to bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.